What's up, my boy? It's Big Faro back in the house. Your boy Spongerelli. We are here giving you a week 2 reaction to the college football early season. And we had some good games on the slate last weekend. Your boys obviously headlined one of the bigger games of the day. The Miami Hurricanes
Let's go,
came.
Canes.
Hey, the Canes came and they took care of business. It was a bit of a dogfight early, I would say. I was I, it was good battle back and forth, but really and truly what I think put you guys in the bind was your two early blunders on special teams. You had the muff punt and the punt block that led to the two early quick scores for A&M. But, when it all came down to it, I thought Miami and Tyler Van Dyme
Van Dimes.
they looked pretty damn good. I'm not gonna lie. I was definitely impressed with the Canes and how they looked. We kind of talked about how we were kind of questioning how teams are going to be, what they're going to look like. A&M was one of those teams that everybody's kind of trying to figure out. They feel like they're fully loaded with 5 stars offensively, defensively. You got Jimbo, who's been a pretty good coach, won a national title. He relinquished the play calling duties over to one of our boys who can really dial it up in Bobby Petrino. So how is this team going to look? And, they look good offensively, but defensively, I think A&M's have got some struggles. But I was thoroughly impressed with your Hurricanes. So I'll let you take the floor and give me what your thoughts were on the game, and I'll tell you what I thought as well.
Well, I thought the Canes came out and shocked the world. No one expected them to win. I didn't expect them to win. I mean, going into the game, if I told you the Hurricanes, like you said, a missed field goal in the first half, a blocked punt on the opening drive, heels at the 10, that the kid missed the punt.
Another week, another special teams blunder with
Right.
a guy catching the ball inside the 10,
exactly.
not catching the ball. Yeah.
Not catching the ball. Then 10 penalties for 155 yards.
That was another thing, too. If you would have told me that, if you would have said all these things, I would have been like, Faro, this is the same old Hurricanes. This is last year,
Oh, I'm not done, Sponge.
Okay, go ahead. My bad.
Three of your starting defensive linemen are out for the game. I mean, the Cam Kitchens thing happened. The game was over when that happened.
Yeah.
But for the most part, if I told you all those things happened in this game, you would tell me last year's team loses this game.
Yeah.
Flat out. Oh, I forgot. Only 77 yards rushing.
Yeah, I think that was going to be my takeaway was if you were to tell me that you guys were only going to run less than 100, and I would have been like, y'all going to be in for a tough game.
Day.
Now, granted, I still think that y'all's strong suit is going to be Van Dyke because I think I love Shannon Dawson. I love Shannon Dawson in the offense now. Now that you can kind of display it, we saw a little bit of it week 1 against Miami of Ohio, but Tyler Van Dyke was good. 2 years ago. It kind of offensive play calling with your boy Gaddis. Just didn't look good last year. Just didn't get into any kind of flow.
No,
but I think you're definitely going to rely on that passing game because it looked good. But I think as the season goes on, obviously Cristobal and those guys, they're going to want to run the ball. They're going to want to establish the run, be balanced and all that stuff. But that was the big takeaway. I would have been like, dang, they only rushed for 77. But when your quarterback,
you got to give Texas A&M credit. That front line they have is going to be one of the bigger defensive lines we're going to see all season.
Definitely. Yeah, that front line for A&M looked good. They shut down the run. They got after Van Dyke a little bit, but when your quarterback goes 21 of 30 for 374 and 5 TDs, that's lighting it up. And I feel like, watching that game, how the struggles early that kept basically A&M in the game, or obviously the misfortunes. I feel like the drive right before the half, where there was under a minute to go, went right down the field in a couple plays, scored the touchdown to get it tight. That was a great drive for Miami going into halftime.
Yeah.
And then
the biggest thing is the offensive line and the protection. And like you said, Shannon Dawson with the play calling, you saw the running backs and the tight ends staying a little bit longer before releasing out to help the big guys up front. And like you say, for the most part, only a couple blown plays. One of the plays they missed a TD on a crossing route to Jacoby George, where Matt Lee slips and the defensive tackle gets up. I think is Stewart gets up the middle and pressures him, and he runs him out of bounds. But for the most part, like you say, the linemen did their job. They did a great job in pass pro. We couldn't run the ball, but we were able to run the ball when we needed to.
You ran it when you needed to, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, the drive I was talking about was literally a 6-play, 44-second drive, 75 yards to give you guys the lead going into the half. I thought that was huge. Going into like it was like, A&M had the lead, and you guys basically struck quick right before the end of the half.
Yeah.
Then it was kind of a little bit back and forth there in the third, and then kind of you open it up big time. It was like you got there late in the game, and you had the 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter that put you up big. Yes, A&M scored again, but then I heard Shannon Dawson doing a interview the other day, or I think it was like yesterday. They're asking like,
aggressive.
Yeah, you're still taking shots. Like he's like, heck yeah, like the game, the way these games are played, anything's in doubt.
I saw the same press conference.
When you basically are up 44-33, you think, or 41-33, you're thinking, okay, we're good. There's 5 minutes left in the ball game. Let's eat some clock. Let's do whatever. But if you're going to give us a chance, we're going to take a shot. And that's exactly what they did. I thought, I love that formula, and I love, the style of play that you got going on. And like I say, that just Restrepo's a beast at receiver. I love him. Jacoby George steps up with the 3 big touchdowns. I love Colby Young. He just looks like a damn deer out there, just like tall, lanky, and just stride for stride. So if you get Henry Parrish going on the ground game, you get Mark Fletcher going in, you get some of these other guys. If you keep Tyler Van Dyke upright, I think definitely the Hurricanes are going to be now. Like I say, it's one of those statement games to where I'm like, okay, I'm on alert. Miami looks pretty damn good. This doesn't look like last year's Miami. This is where my guys still look like the same team. They're going to get their opportunity Saturday, but I like what I saw from Miami. And hell, we haven't even talked about the defense. I thought the defense looked pretty damn good. Yes, Connor Wigman is a good quarterback. That offense that A&M's got with Petrino and Jimbo are going to be good. They throw it around the yard. I love Evan Stewart at receiver. So, yes, I feel like A&M's offense is good. Where they really showed me that they're not good is on the defensive side of the ball. They were terrible tackling. You guys had yak for days. I forget what the stat was, but I think it was like over 200. Almost 250 yards in yards after catch.
Yeah.
Where
like you say,
tackling.
Well, the biggest thing, like you said, Restrepo, as great as he was receiving, if you go back and watch that punt return, he had a huge block in the middle to where he was able to set up that good punt return. And other keys to the game was the 3rd and 1, where the Oklahoma transfer, Jaden Davis, pops the ball out.
That was a great tackle. It was right on. He was right on Johnny on the spot for sure.
So, like you say, last year's
Bashard Smith. How about Bashard Smith's kickoff return? That
was
He was out. That like I say, it was a kind of a nostalgia move. We talked about it before, just how bad Miami's been, how bad Florida's been. Florida State. Our 3 teams have just been not great. Yeah, and it was like great seeing like speed all over the field. Like, I love James Williams. I loved him coming out of high school. Dude is a freaking heat-seeking missile back there, dude.
Well, that's the other thing with the defense. On the defense, it's a very aggressive defense, and the guys are flying around to the ball last year. Like I say, once all those things happen, they kind of give up and they're not flying to the ball. You see them being lazy. You see them just throwing a shoulder in to try to make a tackle and guys breaking off. So the defense, in the first half, the big offensive line for Texas A&M was coming around the corners and crashing those edges in, so the backs were able to get out. So, second half, you made some adjustments. And like you said, they were flying to the ball. 2 other huge stops were when Evan Stewart, if he just runs up field and gets first downs, they possibly score. But, the guys, they flew up and made tackles.
And
it's not high school anymore.
Yeah, you just got to go. Anymore. You got to hit it and go, man. That's what I always tell my guys. You got to just get upfield, man. Like, yes, I want to see a cutback here and there, but you got to kind of just one of those things. You got to have in those situations, know when to do it.
Yeah, in those situations, you got to say, "Hey, we need the first down. We're in the red zone. We want 7s, not settle for 3s."
Yeah, no, like I say, I was thoroughly impressed. I love what the Hurricanes look like. It makes it look good for now. Let's see where the season shakes up. You got to you got a couple layup games, in my opinion, coming up until you go on the road to Chapel Hill. And I
Yeah.
think obviously, I think you blast Bethune, Temple, and Georgia Tech. I mean, Georgia Tech's been they give you fits a little bit here and there, but I'm not buying anything Georgia Tech's
Well,
selling.
for the next couple of weeks, it's going to come down to health. Like I say, Mark Fletcher got hurt, left the game.
Yeah.
Akeem Mesidor left the game. Brandon Dean, and you go down. The big thing is the depth on the defensive line, and can those guys get back? Like you say, this week you could sit guys out.
Yeah.
This is basically let's hurry up, get the lead, and just throw bodies at them and get the freshmen some good work. That's what this week's definitely for. And you get 10 days in between BCC and Temple, and even a Temple game, like you say, you want to go in and win that game and make a statement. But health for the rest of the season is going to be key for the Hurricanes. And with this was a physical game for both teams. It was physical.
Sure. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I was, like I say, super impressed with what Cristobal's got going on. I already was I felt like it was ready to pop, and it basically you got to see it. Boom, right here, week 2. Now again, it's kind of like Florida State. Now you got a little bit of target on your back. Now you got some expectations. You're feeling good about yourselves. Now, how do you carry that on into some of these games? Going into don't lay the egg, like we always say. So you're going to play some good teams in, I think, North Carolina, Clemson, and obviously Florida State. But the good part is, guess what? Now I look at that team as, hey, Miami can bang with these boys, and it's just all about who executes well, who plays well in those games, who does what they need to do. And, obviously we'll talk about that when those games come. But I was thoroughly impressed with the Hurricanes. And like I say, I'm kind of excited to watch your boys play on as the rest of the season, goes on. So definitely.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll slide on over to the Florida Gators, who obviously, it was a layup game. It was a game of, like kind of like how you're saying with Bethune, get your offense working. Don't get penalties. Don't turn the ball over.
Yeah.
Play defense. Do what you need to do. Get out of there. Like, get
it's
all
a
your
box score game. It's called a box score game.
Get your wrinkles out, because obviously, like I said, we said, this is the first 4 games for the Gators was a 2-game schedule, and it was, can you beat Utah or Tennessee? You're going to beat McNeese State. You're going to beat Charlotte. That's just going to happen. So it's more so of, let's find out what we can do right. Let's clean up some of the mistakes we had at Utah. And, I guess for the most part we did. We ran the ball really well, which is what I figured we would do.
51 carries.
51 carries for 327. Montreal had 120 and 2 touchdowns. Trevor had 85 and a touchdown. My boy Webb got in the game and he got 14 carries for 71 and 2 touchdowns. So I was super excited to see my boy Trayon, Mr. Trinity Christian, get in the end zone. And, like I say, defensively, McNeese State was terrible week 1. You held them to 100 yards and like 6 first downs. So this is what I expected. So nothing big here. Again, it comes down to this week versus Tennessee.
Yeah. And we'll talk about that later this week.
Yeah, for sure.
The Gators did what they were supposed to do. Like you say, going into this game, if you're Billy, you're saying, let's clean up the procedural penalties. Let's get on and off the field. Let's figure out the game changer coordinator position and figure that stupid crap out. And, just get ready for this upcoming week, because that's truly what it was. Let's get the line of scrimmage. Let's get the big boys rolling, because you're going to have to run the ball this week. I mean, there's really nothing else for us to really talk about with this past week.
Exactly. So, like I say, we'll move on to our other big 3 of the state of Florida, and those Florida State Seminoles, baby. Like I say, another game where they, got to display their offensive prowess, where they're lighting up the scoreboard. Obviously, Southern Miss, not very good. So this was kind of one of those games. Southern Miss obviously better than like a McNeese State, but Southern Miss not a very good team, and Florida State took advantage of them not being very good and did what they needed to do, and
they dominated.
They hammered them. So another big game from not even Jordan Travis. He was just solid. He was only 50% completion, but 3 for 175 and 2 touchdowns. That they basically said, we're going to run the ball. They got back to their ground game, had over 300 yards on the ground. Obviously Keon Coleman had the sweet highlight hurdle over a guy, touchdown. I just impressed still, but like I say, I was already knew they'd beat Southern Miss, just like I know they're going to beat Boston College just as bad, and then we'll talk about them in 2 weeks when they play Clemson. So nothing here to really say, but Florida State looks damn dominant on offense. And like I said, we'll see where it goes from you. What did you
I
think? What
mean,
were your takeaways from the game?
the only thing you can really say is a game like this 2 years ago, they kind of struggle. They
Right.
find a way to win, but
Yeah.
they, Southern Miss
They're not
stays in the
scoring like
game.
when you see 66 next to the name, you're like, damn, these boys
Yeah.
scored. They
Well,
almost scored
in the
70.
past they stay closer than what it should be, and then you get a late, touchdown or two at the end of the game just because your depth and it being in Tallahassee because it's hot this time of the year. The other team welts because you just got numbers. But to come out, dominate like they were supposed to, and they did. And once again, get the young guys in because you're going to need those guys going during this, going down the stretch of the season. You want to get as much experience as possible, and just being in front of the home crowd, hey, get in, get your couple catches, get your blocks, or get whatever. You might get lucky and get a touchdown.
Yeah,
Florida
definitely.
State, they did what they were supposed to do.
Yeah.
So, like you said, this upcoming week, you're going against BCC, not BCC, Boston College.
Boston College.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's another get right.
Yeah, they're favored by 28.5, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Like now, like FSU fans, I'm like, are you kidding? Like, we got to worry about Chestnut Hill. Like, dude, please save it, Knowles. You're good.
The only
years
thing,
past, I would be like, hey, but now I'm expecting you to cover that line.
Yeah. The only thing is, if you're a Florida State fan, is you want to see more throws by the guys. By Rodemaker, it was 3 for 3. So you want to get him to get some more reps and just not handing the ball off. You want him to throw the ball, and you want Duffy to get in there to be able to throw the ball a little bit more.
Like I said, Rodemaker threw 3 balls and 2 of them were touchdowns. So that's
which is great, but you still want him to get more reps. Yeah. And that's pretty much all you want in a game like this. If you're Mike, you're happy. You're like, hey, we still got stuff we need to clean up. We attention to detail. That's what this game is, and getting the guys up.
That was the most points in the Mike Norvell Florida State era, 66 points. So definitely a good game for the Noles. I'll give them their credit. So like I say, we'll discuss them. Obviously, this is our reaction show. We're going to talk about the preview and who's playing who this weekend coming up on a later episode in the week. But we're just breaking down what we saw week 2, and obviously the big headliner of Saturday night was Texas at Bama. Hook 'em horns, baby. They showed up and they showed me something. I was highly impressed with Texas and what Sark's got going on. Obviously, everybody's been talking about, when is Texas back? Texas is back. Texas has loaded. Texas has this. Texas. All right.
Show us.
They do exactly. And basically, that's the good part about it. That's why you can say all that, but you get to play the game, and they definitely showed us. And I thought Quinn Ewers was awesome. I think the big takeaway that I thought was that D line for Texas was really good. And they got after Milroe. They shut Bama's run game down pretty much. And that affected the game big time. It was kind of a back and forth defensive battle, early and on until the third quarter. And then all of a sudden we just had a firework explosion of points. I thought,
you start seeing all those rainbows dropping out of the damn sky.
No, like I say, Ewers and Milroe throws a pretty deep ball too. I mean, both of those guys, like we used to say, just drop it in that bucket, 50 yards downfield. That's impressive, and both of those guys did that. But I just think, I think the biggest sequence of that game was when Bama got a few stops, and then they finally took the lead on that Jalen Milroe bucket drop to Jermaine Burton. That put them on top. And you're like, okay, here's Bama. They finally settled in. They hit the big 50-yard bomb to him, and you're like, all right, Bama's in front. And then the very next drive, Quinn Ewers says, no. Yeah. We're gonna go right down the field in 3 plays, 75 yards to take the lead back. And then what happened? Milroe threw the most inexplicable pick on that out route. I don't know what he was looking at. I just didn't see the safety. Yeah. And, that basically set Texas up on the short field, and that put Texas up 2 scores. And that kind of was like, now granted, Milroe did drive them back down, but, you're in the lead, then you're down 2 scores. Now you're just chasing. And basically, yes, they chased that point back. But then what did Ewers come back and do? He threw another dime ball to Adonai Mitchell for a late like unbelievable balls from from Quinn Ewers that they were just on the money, and
Yeah.
Bama just like that sequence where they were down 2 scores, couldn't play match. They couldn't basically go back and
No.
forth. They were down 2 scores. They had to press a little bit, and they couldn't make the valiant comeback in Bryant Denny. And I just, again, I think the biggest takeaway also was the fact that that defense from Texas looks damn good. And when you can shut Bama's run game down, put pressure on Milroe, make him make bad throws, make him have some bad decisions, it showed. I think Bama's really good. I think this is not an overreaction to, I think, like LSU against Florida State, where I'm like, I don't know about LSU. I think Bama is still going to be okay. They definitely got some bangers to deal with, and that was their one mulligan. But I will take away that Texas is damn good this year, and I will. We both picked them to win the Big 12. So I think Texas is who we thought they were.
Yeah, I think. Well, going into that game, like you said, we both weren't sure like what we were going to see from Milroe, and there was a lot that I liked, but there was a lot of passes where you're like, dude, just if you just drop it in there, like those couple wheel routes where we were both like,
he missed McClellan, man. That was a touchdown. That's a touchdown.
But that shows the inexperience.
Yeah.
Him being a young quarterback, and I
what
think
say,
once
that
they
ball
get
that ball's traveling too fast. That ball's traveling too fast, man.
He's out there throwing rockets. You got to figure it out. So,
yeah.
And I think normally what would happen in that situation, a team comes into Alabama, it's a night game, the place is going crazy, and a lot of teams shrink in the big moment, and that's where Bama just beats you up and just runs the ball and just beats you up and just milks that clock.
Yeah, Bama got Bama. Texas kind of did that to them.
Yeah, Texas did a great job. That's a veteran quarterback. That's just been the theme of this season.
He looks good, man.
If you have a veteran quarterback, and you can tell he cut the mullet off, his body looks different. He's committed to the offense. He's committed to the game. And Ewers just look great. Here's that talk about Arch Manning during the it's like, come on, man.
Here's the other thing. He was the number 1 quarterback when he came out. So it's not like this guy's just some random guy. Like, this is what we expected. Now, what the problem is, everybody's got expectations of right now, your first year ever, like freshmen come on in. You go to Ohio State, you got to get on the field. No, you got CJ Stroud still there. You got guys there. And then, okay, you come to Texas, and now you're just instantaneous. You better be good this year.
The thing is, too, if he doesn't get hurt in last year's game, they possibly win last year's game. They only lost by one. So I think people were overreacting with the whole Arch Manning going to Texas thing. Hey, Saunders, the big tight end,
he looked good. He looked good.
He was huge.
Their whole, like, I love the transfer into Donnie Mitchell from Georgia.
Xavier Worthy.
Xavier Worthy is a burner. Yeah, but Sanders, Jatavion Sanders is talking about a deer. Dude looks long, lanky, and is moving. And see, I love their backup freshman running back. He got a little banged up, but he only had 11 carries for 31 yards. Brooks was the main guy, who got the touchdown late in the game to add on to the points. But CJ Baxter out of Orlando, like, he was the guy that I wanted Florida to get really bad.
Yeah.
I love his running. He's a physical runner, big runner. I think he's going to, be another part to that offense. So I think looking at Texas's schedule, I feel like Oklahoma obviously is going to be your, it's your big rival, Red River rivalry, but I still feel like they are going to run the Big 12. I think they go into, obviously week 2, I think they run the table. I think they got a great chance of running the table. And now they're clearly in one of those playoff slots, so that's, it's way too early to talk, obviously, playoff, but it's,
for sure, week 2. But on the flip side of that, when you go back and watch that game, I watched a little bit of it. Bama just don't have those guys. I think that was the difference in this game this Saturday night, where you're used to a Bryce Young taking over, or you got a Derrick Henry, or you think about all the receivers, a Judy, a Waddle, a Ruggs. But Bama just does, like, Burton's a guy.
Yeah,
but he's not like those guys.
No, he's
and
not.
Then defensively, Dallas Turner's still young. You don't have a Will Anderson. And then that secondary, going into that
McKinstry's
game.
your guy, and he got beat.
But going into the game, remember me saying, like, man, they're talking about 3 of their 4 starters are banged up, and they probably will play, but it's potentially they may not play.
Well, their number 1 guy was Kool-Aid McKinstry, and he got beat several times. So
Texas definitely got the scouting report, and
Yeah.
they went after those guys. And
No, for sure.
there was no pass rush for where Texas was worried about it. And like you say, Ewers was just out there bombing and dropping dimes. He's dropping it in the bucket.
Yeah. No, I agree. And like I say, I don't think this is the end of Bama just
No,
because
no, no,
they
no,
still
no,
look,
no.
hell, Bama still looked pretty damn
It
good in the
still look good.
game.
Yeah,
And you know,
yeah.
if he doesn't, if Milroe doesn't throw that pick, you know, maybe you got a back
Who
and forth
knows?
game. You know,
Who
exactly.
knows?
I'm not saying that was the reason why they won,
Yeah,
lost, or
yeah.
whatever, but
He's still
that was
young.
a huge
He'll
reason
figure it
why.
out.
Yeah, I agree. And like I
He'll
said,
figure it out.
I feel like now looking here's the wild thing. You know, the SEC West, man, who's the number one team out there right now? It's Ole Miss, just because they haven't lost. I mean, you
Yeah,
got Bama's got an L, LSU's got an L, A&M's got an L. You know, Ole Miss didn't look great against Tulane with a backup quarterback. So I mean, granted, it's
yeah.
still early in the year, but right now
They'll figure it out once conference play rolls around.
I would say Bama just that team looked good for almost all of that game. Had some hiccups like we just said.
Yeah,
I think they'll be there in the end to maybe take on a Georgia in the SEC game, but that's like I say, long time away. We'll gradually see how it goes, and
yeah,
just see what
yeah.
happens. But I mean, I guess the last thing we got to discuss as our reaction on week number 2 would be your boy prime
It's prime.
time,
Yeah,
Shador Sanders and the boys with another big win. I mean, I kind of felt like they were going to beat Nebraska, just because watching them week 1, instant reaction was this offense is going to be good. And,
yeah,
how good can they be? Can their defense get better? And again,
yeah.
it goes to show me that this Colorado offense is for real. They got great players. Shador Sanders, obviously
They
the
got guys.
headliner, and they got dudes in the portal. Obviously we talked about the 80 new players, but
Mm-hmm.
I was thoroughly impressed again. It was, put it this way, they had a little bit of adversity in that game because it started off a little bit of a defensive struggle, and they had to
I
kind of
think
play
that
the game.
Nebraska had a great defensive plan, but what caught up with them?
Their
That
offense
terrible.
stinks.
Good Lord, man,
My boy Jeff Sims, I love you, dog, but you're a turnover machine right now.
that
You got to clean that up.
you
Like,
turn the ball over basically in their red zone.
yeah,
Two possessions, and that's what really got the Colorado offense going was
yeah,
those short punching it in.
yeah.
But for the most part, I thought Nebraska had a great game plan. They only rushed 3. They dropped
Played a lot of
everybody
zone.
else.
Yeah,
So they played a little zone underneath. So it made Shador think. So he was processing it. You knew they were going to figure it out because they couldn't play like that the whole game. You just
yeah,
knew they couldn't play like that the whole game. And Colorado found a way to get, like I say, to get things going. But when your quarterback is just
yeah. Shador
wow,
finished. He was 31 of 42 for 393. Man,
yeah,
almost through. So 510 and 400 in 2 games.
yeah,
I think he's like, it's nuts the way he's playing.
yeah,
Obviously, Travis Hunter again.
yeah.
Being the lockdown corner he is, and guess what? I'll add 3 more catches for 73 yards to my resume. So
Yeah.
it's like
Can
they're
he keep up
good,
the
man.
pace?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
this week? Is this the week where Dion says, "Hey, Travis, we just need you to play on the defensive side because we just can't afford to keep having you play 100 plus,
well, here's the
120,
thing. I don't
130 plays."
honestly this week. I don't think they're going to have to. I think those guys are going to play a half because I think they're going to beat the hell out of Colorado State.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
I think
I
so
think
too. But you just gotta think about that and
no, for sure, because you got games like we said the very next week against
yeah,
Oregon and then USC, and
yeah.
then you get into the heart of that
As
conference play.
as
So
they say in the NBA, load management game.
no, you definitely got to figure it out just so you can kind of get it right and keep your guys healthy, keep your guys not fatigued. So, but thoroughly impressed with Colorado's 2-0 start. Now that
A big win against a rival. I don't care
yeah,
what
for sure.
anyone says.
No,
Like I
for
say,
sure. That
Nebraska's
Nebraska
offense
Colorado
is
was
it's
yeah,
it
they were
it was one of the biggest rivals when we were younger, when we were
yeah,
kids.
yeah. No,
They wanted to beat each other up. No
yeah.
red. Hey, what Prime say all last week? No red in the facility.
No red in the building, baby. No red in the building.
And then before the game, there was a lot of trash talk where Matt Rule took the whole team to the middle of the Buffalo, in the middle of the
Yeah,
field.
I heard that he does that everywhere, and
Yeah,
yeah,
but but Shador and
yeah,
those guys were warming up, and you
yeah,
basically said, "Hey, man, f you. I'm going to
yeah,
bring my team through here, and we're going to intimidate you." And
Yeah.
Shador's just standing there looking at him like, oh, okay,
He flexed his
cool.
Rolex. He flexed his
Yeah.
Rolex on him.
He's just like, oh, okay, cool. And, but hey, if you're going to do that, the Florida teams, the Florida State teams, the Miami teams in the 90s and early 2000s used to do that all the time when they went on the road.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you better back it up.
Yeah.
You can't walk in another man's house
that's
and
why.
basically
Yeah.
pee on his carpet
Yep.
and don't back it up when he swings at you. And that's what they didn't do. They didn't swing back. Once because there were a couple times where you're like, are they going to change the quarterback out? Are they going to take out Jeff? And they didn't, and you're just like, well, I could almost stop watching.
Yeah, no, the game it got out of hand rather quickly there in the second half when Colorado finally got things clicking on offense, and they looked pretty good.
Yeah.
So, like I say, another good showing. But again, I felt like they would win that game. How close would it be?
Yeah.
This, that, and the other. The great part about we know what's coming down the pipe with some of these games.
The schedule's about to get great.
Yeah, so
not
that's
this
where,
week, but next
week. Yeah,
this
week's slate. We're going to talk about it later on in the week. We'll talk about the week 2, the week 3 menu, and it's not as appetizing as we will get onto week 4 because we're already looking ahead at week 4, and week 4 looks super great.
Yeah,
but we'll
really
get
good.
in week 3. We'll get a little week 3 action. Obviously, the Gators have the biggest headliner game of the local boys, our boys against Tennessee at home.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday night, and then the Canes and Florida State kind of have layups. So we'll break it down and get into all that. And so we appreciate you guys listening to the week 2 react. So to make sure you hit the like, hit the subscribe, listen
and
to
share.
us, come holler at us, share the podcast. We're trying to, like I say, we're trying to add some little things to it. We're busy with our schedules, trying to get, make it look a little more appealing, make it look a little fun. Add some comments, do whatever. But yeah, we're gonna hopefully have some guests.
Yeah, give us a hard time. Shout out to my man James Degelman.
Yeah, that's my dog.
Hey, that's my dog. I've been taking it easy.
Hammer the Gators if we stink it up this weekend. So yeah. But we'll get into all that later on in the week with the preview show of the week 3 to come. So this is the week 2 edition. We appreciate y'all, and we'll holler at y'all. Peace.